This is Leadership in Action, and I'm Casey Cheshire. Join me as we delve deep into the passions, expertise, and experiences of Boston area innovators. Sponsored by the Boston chapter of the Entrepreneurs Organization. This is Leadership in Action. Here we go. And now the roller coaster has inched forward and we're leaving the gatehouse and we're going to go off on this crazy adventure. I'm excited. Man, so much to talk about here today. My guest, he is a thought leader. He's at the forefront of supply chain advancements. He's experienced in warehousing, distribution, transportation, fulfillment. He's got decades of experience in operational excellence, served as the president of the Council of Supply Chain Management, as well as the COO of Barrett Distribution Centers. Tim Barrett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Casey. Happy to be here.
Man, I'm excited too.
Decades of experience means I'm old, though. I don't know if I like that part of the intro.
It does mean you're old, but you don't look old. You look younger than I do. What's your secret?
Well,
to skincare?
Thank you.
Is that what we're talking about today? Well, hey, I wanted to pass this right over to you because I know you heard the episode with Ted, and you had kind of a different approach to that. So I want to go ahead and ask you our leading question, which is, what is a common misconception about leadership, running a business, or being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So the myth I'm going to smash today is that the customer always comes first. So I know you just did a podcast with Ted Palacios, and a good friend of mine, and he is super enthusiastic about the customer experience and customer service, and totally agree with a lot of what he has to say. But I have a different perspective on it.
All right. So Ted's completely full of shit, is what we're saying. Is that what we're saying? No, we're not saying that. So what's your new take?
So my take is that we think that to effectively take care of the customers, it all needs to start with the employees. So we really don't think that across 20 facilities and 2,000 employees, that if we put the customer first, that we are actually, we feel like we're doing a disservice to the customer by doing that. So we start with the employees, and I can walk you through our wow pyramid of how we go about doing that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you not only do you feel this way, but you have your own. You have a wow pyramid.
We do. We have.
What is this thing?
So this is really what our culture is all about and how we run the business. So, I
just said, oh, wow. And then I guess that's, yeah.
There you go. That's what we're hoping for. So we start, the base of our pyramid it starts with wowing our employees. And we really feel like when we effectively do that, they in turn will wow the customers. So if you think about the base of the pyramid, the employees, the middle of that pyramid are the customers, and the employees, when we take care of the employees, they wow the customer. And when we wow the customer will take care of us, through long-term relationships and take care of us financially and make sure that, we're paid appropriately for the value we deliver to them. And the great thing about our company is that wow pyramid goes full circle, and that the money or the revenue or the reward that we get from the customers is shared back with every employee, and on a quarterly basis, and keeps them motivated, keeps them going, and continues to wow them, and then they continue to wow the customers, and that circle continues.
I like this because it gives you a singular focus. You're saying, yes, there's many different things, plates we could keep spinning, but the one that you really want to make sure is spinning is taking care of your team. And then from there, almost now, is it automatic? Do you have to do anything to help your team take care of your customer, or is it just really just take care of them and they're gonna do what they need to do?
Yeah, so it's not, it's certainly not automatic, but the things that we do are we certainly focus on taking roadblocks out of their way, right? So making their job better and easier, and that really boils down to being more efficient, being more accurate in what we do, being more productive in what we do. We go through all kinds of changes all the time as we grow, but implementing new technologies to make their job better and easier. We use robots in many of our facilities to work with the pickers, alongside the pickers, to make that job easier and more fulfilling for that hourly employee. We do a lot of different things, but the biggest thing, frankly, is that we're an open book company. So we spend a lot of time educating our employees on not what we call the business of the business, right? So they, they need to know how to do their job and know how to pick an order effectively and accurately, and know how to use the robot or use an RF gun or use different reporting in our systems and things like that. But we also want them to understand how we make money, and and what drives the business, and in what we need to do to be successful. So we spend a lot of time working with them on educating them about the business, the financial statements of the business, both the the income statement and the balance sheet. We share openly with them how we're doing, and they know on a weekly basis what their projected gain share is, and we do focus on that being a gain share and not a bonus, right? We focus on the concept that they earn that gain share. It's not a bonus. It's not something that's given to them. They, through their contributions, they earn it, and they drive it up and forward, and their work is what impacts that gain share and what impacts their ability to make more money.
So they're really invested at that point. So not only are they, so it sounds like this, one of the key ingredients is you have the open books. They know that their contribution has tangible rewards coming, and not just far off in the future, but what is it, quarterly?
Quarterly. Yeah. Yep. So an average hourly employee for us over the last 4 or 5 years has gotten a annual bonus of about $3,500, which is which is a very meaningful number for
that can be like a month,
people.
An extra 2 weeks or an extra month.
It's about 10%. Yeah, it could be about 10% of pay. Yep.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got bonuses, we've got open books, taking out roadblocks. Anything else that you recommend that really goes into wowing your employees?
Well, we certainly are advocates of and believe in the servant leadership model.
Well, tell me about that, because I think a lot of times we talk about that, but what does that actually mean to be a servant leader?
For us, it's being humble. It's admitting mistakes. It's being open and being available. It is making sure that we're doing things to take care of our employees. We run at least once a month. We do a round table with employees from all over the company, and either my brother or I do it. And we generally have 15 or 20 people on there, and we get to know them. Just spend an hour getting to know each employee, and it's an opportunity for them to share and certainly bring up things that are obstacles in doing their job effectively, and gives us a better insight on what's going on in their world and taking care of our customers. So I don't know if I could tell you specifically what we do, other than what I just shared about being humble and being open and being available. But those round tables are incredibly, as good as they are for the employees, are incredibly motivating for me, because what people share and how grateful they are to be working at Barrett is just keeps me motivated. It's very, very moving, and it's great to be part of that. And that's one of my mantras or my goals in life. Is I've been writing this down every month for almost 20 years. That I thought back then, geez, what am I doing with my life? I'm not solving cancer. I'm not, but I kind of boiled it down to, well, in my small way, I can have an enormous impact on the people that work for me. So I set out this mantra to positively impact 10,000 lives. And the 10,000 lives was a bit of a BHAG, in the sense that, if I continue to grow the company and get up to 10,000 employees, then they're better off working at Barrett, and better off, for having come here than they were previously. And that's how I'm going to make a difference in the world. And so I'm 20% of the way there. We got about 2,000 employees today. So
wow. When
I wrote that down, we probably had 15 or 20 employees.
Really? Wow. You wrote it down at 15 or 20, and now it's.
Yeah, but I have to confess, I originally wrote down 1,000 lives. And then I had to modify it. So
Like, oh crap, I'm getting close to that. I mean, what happens when you meet that purpose, right?
Right. So it was easy. Just change the number.
Just change the number. Yeah, just add a couple to it. Wow. But you gotta think too that, I mean, if any of those 2,500 have families, you
Mhm.
know, and plus your customers and their families, and
Yeah.
you're probably already well over
Yeah.
bigger
Thanks.
number than that. But then I like that you're at least you're focusing on, well, I know I can calculate this number, so I'm going to focus there. But you're right. I mean, the ripple effect, even if you're not in the Peace Corps or your company isn't doing that frontline direct thing, you can play a role in someone's life. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We promoted, I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, but we promote over 150 people every year, and that's just that's not someone going from an hourly employee to a general manager, but it could be an hourly employee to a lead to a supervisor. But collectively, I mean, obviously some of those people do end up going into management. We have people that started with us as a temporary employee doing, preparing product for retail, by price ticketing products, and they're now running a building. We have 2 or 3 examples of that. So, those are things we're pretty proud of. It makes, that's what makes getting up in the morning worthwhile.
It's very worthwhile. Tell me about that. Tell me about the recipe where you take someone who, I mean, did they come in like sort of entry level, they're picking or something, and then how do you help them transform to be one of the 150, the ones that get promoted, the ones that eventually run a building?
Yeah, I think we provide the training and we provide the opportunity, but it's really them. I mean, it is all them. It's frankly, in many cases, it's someone that never had an opportunity, right? So they probably always had the capability, but just never were in the right circumstance or had the right opportunity or had someone that believed in them. Some cases, it's a language barrier. So you see somebody that has an enormous amount of capability, really gets it, knows what they're doing, but doesn't speak any English. And so we've sent people to English as a second language classes. So one of the folks he runs one of our facilities in Massachusetts, and when he first came to us, we were really small. I was frankly his direct supervisor, working with him out on the floor. He came as a temp and didn't speak any English, and he could, but he had ideas, and he would literally point out things to me and try to show me, visually out on the floor by pointing at things and trying to explain to me like an idea he had to make a process better. And I was like, wow, like this guy's really got it. Like he really knows what he's doing. And
even without the language, he was, you could pick up on that intelligence that he was seeing a situation and saying, this could be better, not just accepting that it's inefficient, so be it. He was like, no, this is inefficient and we could make it better.
Yeah.
It's like ownership, right? I mean, he was literally taking ownership or something of that, stepping up to the plate. Isn't that magic when you see that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Eyes? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's great. That's what I love about what we do. We have a great opportunity to impact a lot of people that have not probably ever gotten a fair shake. Right?
Especially if they can't even speak the language at the start, but then here they are eventually running a building and a team, and then they can inspire an uncountable number of people with their actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So who knows what that 10,000 ends up translating into in the long run,
Yeah.
Huge. Well, you mentioned robots, and I can't let you go on without tell me about robots. You have robots helping you in your distribution centers?
Yeah, so we refer to them as Cobots. So they work with the picker. So if you think about it, I guess the easiest way to explain it is that if you could have a customer that has 5,000 different items, right? So that pick line could go for aisles.
Yeah.
Right? Could be 10 aisles in a facility. And so by working with the Cobot, each worker is responsible for a zone. So that might be an aisle, it might be part of an aisle, but they stay in a defined area, and the robot comes to a location and says, basically saying, I need something out of this location. the picker walks, 5 steps to that location, picks the item, scans it, and puts it into the bin. That robot then moves on. Then the picker may follow that robot to the next spot if it's within their zone, and then pick, fulfill another item into that same robot. Or that robot may go off to another zone, and then there's another, a second robot now is in your zone waiting to be fulfilled, and you fulfill. Wow. So you stay in a small area, and the robots are doing all the travel.
Wow.
And so that and you think about the big travel is, obviously within that pick mod, walking aisles, but it's also then bringing that in the old model, right? Bringing that product now that you've picked back to a packing station or a shipping area, and then getting a new cart or a new tote, right? And walking back to the pick mod and starting again, right? And so there's a lot of process that goes away, and frankly, it makes the job easier and better. Like it's much more intuitive than picking with an RF gun. An RF gun, I'm getting a little bit technical here, but
no, go for
it. Is the typical way that people pick, and an RF gun is not. It's not like Windows, it's not as intuitive as you think it is. There are functions in the gun. You have to, and there's a learning process. The best example I can give you is with the robot. When we first put the robots in, my daughter was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I went in there on a Saturday. She came in with me, and I showed her, the robot. She was able to actually pick with the robot without any training. Like it was just intuitive, and she knew what to do. So that doesn't happen with the conventional methodology. People need to understand how to use the gun. They need to understand the location sequencing. And so when the RF gun says to go to location 1, like you have to kind of understand where. Okay, what does that mean? Where is that? Even when you get within a defined area, you're got to figure out where is it on the shelf? Like which level is it at, and so on. So it's the robot. It much more succinctly displays it.
The human gets it off the shelf, but then gives it to the robot.
Correct.
And that's better than having a human just run around.
Yes.
Grabbing
things, exactly.
Scanning.
Yeah.
So having a cobot working together versus just having a human just run around. I could see, and also not just run around the whole place, but you have a specific area you're staying in, and the robots may or may not. And so you're reducing the amount of travel that everyone has to make.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. And it's hands-free too, right? Like with a wrist scanner or RF gun, right? You've got things that, either strapped to your wrist or that you have to hold, and you're totally hands-free. You just, it's an iPad essentially on the robot that you're just looking at. It's telling you what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, you must just dive so much into process to be able to just optimize this thing. Actually, before I get to process, you mentioned the iPad. What kind of training do you do for the new team that come in? Because they have to learn all this tech, right? So, they may be learning a language at the same time they're learning these apps. How do you teach these frontline workers to use these apps?
Yeah. So as I just said, it's actually quite a bit easier to learn and to get up to speed with the app than it was with the old technology.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The other thing that's interesting is that the robots will work in multiple languages. So as you approach a robot or a robot approaches you, it's reading your badge.
Really?
And it will, and then it will display in your language.
No way.
Yeah. So
that is slick, man. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes these are the small details that maybe you take for granted, but like when I hear that, I think that is brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah. That's been really helpful.
Yeah. Now it scans you. How does it?
Yeah. So it's just an RFID tag, right? So it when you're in the vicinity of the robot, it picks up your tag, and then it knows that you want Spanish or whatever language you want. So
when it scans your tag, does it know to bend the knee and
that's not how I run the business, man. I already explained that.
I know. Should at least play a little tune, maybe some trumpets start blaring.
King. Exactly.
Oh man. Okay, so on the training that makes sense, but how about on the process side? Especially having spent so much time in the operational executive seat, where do you have a certain framework that you think about when it comes to process? You constantly making it better. How do you wrap your head around, large and small processes?
Yeah, so that is one of the things that, I guess, in terms of my focus is that, a lot of times people feel like the leader, should not get into the details, or, needs to be more visionary. And, I really think, and especially in our business, where real change happens and where you can have an impact is in the details. And it's very different than micromanaging. It's not micromanaging, but it's understanding the details and spending time out on the floor, and really understanding things that get in the way, or that could be better, or that need to be changed. We are constantly changing. We have a whole team that we call our business process optimization team that focuses in on. So that's a group of engineers, but it's also people that with an IT background, and operations background and process. Some people that have come from customer service. So it's a whole group of people that work together to dive deep into an operation or an existing account, and figure out a better way to do it. So that could just be that we feel like there's room for improvement, or a lot of times it's just driven by growth. We have a lot of customers that have grown very fast with us, and so as they grow, we need to update or revise, the way that we're handling the business.
Okay. Uh, and I bet you that team too is also walking walking the aisles too, right? They're not just optimizing from an office. They're on the floor as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're out in the facilities, and really seeing what's going on.
So
Yeah.
my next question was a little bit of an aside. Just as a leader, as an owner, oftentimes it can be kind of isolating. They say lonely at the top kind of thing. Do you
Mhm.
have any communities or resources or groups that you look to stay connected?
Mhm. Yeah. So a big one for me is EO.
Okay,
I'm actually in two forums through EO.
nice.
So I'm in a local forum that I've been since I joined EO. So I've been in that forum for about 14 years, and then about 8 years ago, I joined what was referred to at the time as a quantum leap forum. And it was for larger businesses. So that's more of a regional group. So I've got 7 or 8 people in that forum that are from different cities across the Eastern US, essentially, that all have larger businesses. So I get a lot out of both forums, probably slightly different things out of each one. But it's a huge part of the value I get out of EO is my forum experience. And the forums are all about you know just sharing experiences, and helping people, both. You talk about being lonely at the top. It's not just business. So EO really gets into thinking about and sharing experiences around things that are troubling for you personally, family, business. So it's all aspects of life, and it's a place that um, you know you really don't get an opportunity to share those kinds of things in other environments. So I'm fortunate. You talk about lonely at the top. So one of the things that I am really fortunate is that I've got my brother in the business with me,
Oh,
and
nice.
having a real, it doesn't have to be a brother or a sister or a sibling, but I think just having a trusted partner, someone that you just there's nothing that gets in the way, that you instinctively trust in every aspect of what you're doing, and trying to build the business and grow the business, and problems that you're having with the business. Having some kind of a trusted partner, I think, has been incredibly valuable to me as well. Like, so that it's not quite as lonely at the top, because at least I've got him to commiserate with when I need
Yeah.
to.
How do you blend family? Because I know there's a lot of folks that do have family in the business with them. Are there any particular rules or agreements that you have, just even or unspoken, but just so that you don't let the bad stuff in, but also you don't let the work affect the family?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So
maybe it just does. I don't know.
no, I don't think it does. We don't have any rule, but we've done a really, really good job of not talking about business outside of work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just never do. So, and maybe a bit to a fault. Sometimes, my kids are getting older. I've got a son that's a sophomore in college and a senior in high school, and a younger daughter. And I have started to talk to them more about business and about their career path and what they want to do. And I do feel like to some degree I probably went a little bit to the extreme of I don't want to talk about business with my kids or my
Yeah.
family or so now I'm starting to realize I think it's valuable for me to do that and just to share my experiences and try to help them learn from me and help them figure out what they might want to do in life. So.
Yeah, especially whether they want to go into it or not. I mean, have you thought about that? Like, does one of them need to take on the business, or pass it
No,
down
yeah,
generation to
yeah,
generation?
not necessarily. I think I feel like I have a lot of time to go. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and I don't, I, yeah. So same kind of philosophy. I purposely, I do not want them to feel any commitment or any um, pressure to go into the business. So I
Right.
want them to go off and do their own thing. And
That's smart.
and that's what I did. I didn't go into the business right away. I worked for a consulting firm for 4 years, and I went to business school, and then I went back into the business. So and through all of that, I never really thought I was going to go into the business. It wasn't until my second year in business school that I started to come around to thinking that I would go join my brother and you know make a run at this.
Got it. So yeah, let's get into that now. I'd love to know, like, who are you? Take me back in time, even before that particular part where you're starting to think about going into business. Growing up, you grew up in a family that was running businesses, right? Or running
Hmm.
this business. What
Yeah.
was it like as a kid? And did your parents kind of keep you out so you didn't have to think about, or were you like in the business from four? What was it like growing up? You?
Yeah. So I guess that whole idea of not talking about the business at home, I probably learned from my dad. So he never
Mhm.
did talk about it at work, talk about work at home. But I did grow up in the business. I mean, I started working literally sweeping floors. That was my first role. And when I started when I was probably 14 or 15 years old, going in and working in the summers and vacations and so really truly learned from the ground up and started in the most menial of menial jobs. It was I did I probably had every handled every function in the business as I grew up and worked in it all through high school and college.
Wow. So you really got a chance to learn. Did you ever think you were gonna, like, even as a kid? What did you want to be? Were you going to be an astronaut? Did you know you're going to be running a business?
Well, so yeah, I guess, not, I probably, my desire probably always was to be an athlete, but I
Yeah.
was
Oh yeah.
certainly light years away from being able to do that. But that was my aspiration. But I never, you know, I guess I thought when I was younger, I think I did think about going into the business, probably through high school. Once I was in college, I never really gave it much thought. I was an accounting major, and so my focus was to go work for one of the firms, and that's what I ended up doing. And um, sort of was on that career path, and was thinking more about a accounting or finance career.
And what did you go to school for?
Um, so undergrad, I went to Holy Cross. I was an accounting major, and then
Accounting. Did,
yeah, yeah.
did you just know right away from an early age that the numbers thing was pretty groovy and maybe not so much
Uh
English, and you just wanted to do it, or was it just kind of a?
yeah, it was I again, a lot of things in my life I just fell into.
Yeah.
I didn't go there thinking about being an accounting major, and I wasn't my freshman year, but
Okay,
I
gotcha.
took, I think I took an accounting class either freshman year or sophomore year, and um, it was, don't want to say it was easy, but it was intuitive. I would use the word intuitive.
Yeah.
It was very
Makes
intuitive
sense.
to me, and I just, it just struck a chord. And I was like, I just felt like, this is something that I'm pretty good at. And I don't know if anybody ever likes accounting, but I just felt like it was, it was something that I got. It was, I actually kind of understood the creative side of it and the analytical side of it, it was appealing, I guess, but I wouldn't say I loved it, but it was appealing, and it was a path that I looked at, and I thought, boy, taking a job with one of the big, at the time, big 8 firms, big 4 firms, was a great way to start a career. And
Oh yeah.
and just, I think I learned a lot there. I probably learned in the 4 years I worked at Price Waterhouse. The 4 years I was there, I probably learned as much as I did in my MBA program, and I think it
I
set
bet.
me up really well for success.
I bet. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think all throughout this, the family business was going on. So you mentioned in business school, second year or so, you're starting to get thoughts that, hey, maybe I want to do this. Had anyone asked you, and maybe it was the door was always open, or what was it like to sort of evaluate, hey, maybe I do want to take on this family business?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, my brother and I have always had a great relationship. We we were very much rivals growing up. We played all the same sports. We played one-on-one basketball in the driveway, every day, and usually got in a fight. And then, one of us would go inside and get something to eat and come back out, and then we'd start playing again, So,
Right.
so we've always had a good rapport, good relationship. Definitely a lot of the same interests. And so it was always open, I think. I think it was not, he was in the business prior to me. And
Gotcha.
I think it was something that, we just sort of worked out. Like I said, hey, why don't I come? So the initial thought was I took some kind of part-time consulting gigs in Boston, and
Okay.
was doing it part-time with him. And then, very, very quickly became all consuming. And,
Yeah.
and it was really driven to try to grow the business and drive it forward. And frankly, really, those consulting things that I had lined up, I ended up doing, because I was just full time into the business fairly quickly. It ramped fast, and then I was focused on growing it and getting new customers. And then as we got new customers, we had to hire people and get equipment and add
Yeah.
buildings, and so it very quickly became a pretty all-consuming job for the two of us.
And then you hop on the train, and now it's years later, and you've just been growing this thing leaps and bounds. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, very consistently.
I have a hypothetical question for you.
Yeah.
I may or may not have a time machine up here in New Hampshire, where I'm at. And let's say you come visit, come hang out, we'll get some lobster, get some beer, and then we'll go use the time machine, right? It's in the backyard covered in a tarp. So you use the time machine, and you get to go back and you get to meet yourself a couple of days after graduating from Holy Cross. You got that undergrad. It's like fresh young you, ready to take on the world. You get to go and talk to that Tim. What kind of things would you tell yourself? Would you give yourself advice, recommendations? What would you say?
Uh, I so I think I would say to enjoy the journey more than I have. I'm very driven and always have been. I think I've been that way since I was, 2 years old. And um, so I probably have, I'm very focused on my family, my wife, and my kids.
Yeah.
And I coach a ton of, their sports all growing up. I was always coaching, sometimes coaching 3 different teams in the same season, and focused on them. But I don't think I probably took as much time for myself as I would have liked to have. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, trying to enjoy the journey a lot more than I did. And not that I didn't enjoy it. I just think I've always been focused on growing the business and taking care of our employees and our customers, and doing the right things for my kids and my wife. All virtuous things and things I should do,
Sure.
but probably could have taken more time for myself.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, so many conversations I've had with, mountain climbers and other folks where you want to get to the top, but as soon as you get to the top, especially on something like Everest, you're
Mm.
there for like 15 minutes and you got to turn around. Otherwise
Yeah.
you're going to get in trouble. So yeah, you get to enjoy it, but for a second, and then it's going back down. Or if it's business, there's another mountain,
Yeah.
there's always another mountain, because that's the journey until you're dead. But you're right. If you can't enjoy the process of getting to the top, then your life's going to be 95%, waiting for that fleeting moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was off the top of my head. I hadn't really thought about that till you asked it. That was a great question, but that's where my mind went first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually it goes to the thing, you
Yeah.
just let it do its thing. It goes to it. Well, tell me about this coaching though, because I think we were chatting at one point. You said that at one point you might have been coaching 3 different teams and 3 different sports all at the same time with your kids. And tell me about this decade plus of coaching intensive that you've been doing.
It's just, I mean, part of it, frankly, originally was nobody else volunteered, and so you're the you're the last guy standing. I think I know a decent amount about sports, but there's a big difference between knowing how to play and knowing how to teach someone else how to play. So I learned a lot. I think I think I see it now with a lot of parents. Your oldest, you think everything's the end of the world, and then you realize that your second kid, you're probably a little more mellow, and realize what's really important, and certainly by my third, even more so. But so I think it's been a learning experience for me. Not so much learning how to coach, but although I did learn a lot, I learned a lot from other great coaches that I was able to coach with. But I think I also learned what's important in life through coaching, and really just trying to focus on what's important, and just really being more concerned with how the kids are doing, as opposed to how they're doing with their sport. Right. I think there's a distinction there.
Right. I wonder if there's got to have been so many lessons learned. I don't know if any come to mind around that that either you've extrapolated to business or the training, or just kids. They're a great example of someone who's sometimes slightly motivated, sometimes more, but then you can't stomp on them. You have to sort of like encourage them. And I don't know if anything comes to mind in your experience just across the different sports, any things that kind of held to be true across them all.
Yeah, I don't know about, I guess you started to down the path of relating it to work. And I guess I certainly probably feel like there's a lot of things from work that I would apply to the coaching, and vice versa. Just learning more about how to motivate someone, or what it or how to get people to do things that they don't instinctively want to do. So a lot of that has been the Socratic method of just of doing more, asking questions, and being trying to be a bit more in their world. So learning that through, I think I've learned that through EO. I've learned that through experiences at work. I've learned it through experiences coaching, and I think they all, they sort of, I think the 3 different things have actually helped me get better at all of them.
Yeah.
Are
you going to keep coaching as the kids get older and go off, or are you going to,
yeah. So, that's one of the things I thought you were going to ask me this question, but what would I want to do? That's one thing I've always thought about, that I would love to coach like a high school team or something, but I don't have the credentials or the experience or the capability probably to do it, but sort of mythically, that's what I feel like I would like to do. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you got plenty of time to find out. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
amazing. So, where can people, if they want to reach out, connect with you professionally, you maybe share similar stories, or connect with you professionally, to talk with Barrett Distribution? What are some good social sites to reach out on? What are some good URLs, some websites, all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah. So really our probably our best social media site that we focus in on is LinkedIn. So that would probably be one of the better places. We do post a lot on Twitter. So we're at Barrett DC on Twitter. LinkedIn, I think, will probably be pretty easy to find Barrett Distribution Centers. Yeah, certainly can email me it's tbarrett@barrettdistribution.com. I'm a big believer in sharing experiences, and I've been helped tremendously along the way by a lot of different people, and I'm more than happy to share whatever wisdom I might have or experiences that I can share. I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, that really is the EO culture too. We're just here to share and help however we can. That's part of what makes it magical.
Yeah. And as I said, I've been blessed to have a lot of people help me early in my career along the way and give me
100%.
great insights and great advice. And so, yeah, absolutely.
Pay it forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, this has been awesome. I don't know if you looked at the clock, the time has just worked by.
Wow. Has it been? Wow. Okay. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Like what a cool, thank you so much for coming on here. Share with me your wow factor, your wow model, the pyramid of wow. And the conversations are about cobots and process and family businesses and EO and all the things. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I hope you had fun. And for those listening, I hope you had fun too. And if you learned something, I encourage you to share this episode with someone else. I did. I literally have 2 pages of notes front and back. So I've learned a ton. And if you have to, for those listening, share this, hit share, like, share, all those little buttons. And that's thought leadership, is when you get this in front of someone else. Man, Tim, thanks again for being on here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks a lot, Casey.
All right, everyone. This has been another exciting episode of Leadership in Action. We will see you all next time. Leadership in Action is sponsored by the Boston chapter of the Entrepreneurs Organization. As the world's only peer-to-peer network exclusively for entrepreneurs, EO helps transform the lives of those who transform the world.